Hello everyone. Today we return to the topics of UFOs and high strangeness related to the phenomenon published in articles on the Forgotten Languages website. If you want an introduction to the series of videos, you can find the link on the screen right now, and it links you to the first video in the series. We are still in August of 2013. On the 30th, there was another article related to one of the main topics we are going to cover and mention in this series. The title says Field Consciousness Physics on the Nature of Mind-Matter Interaction, Preliminary Results of the XVIS Project. The first part, starting the article in English, says as follows.
The essence of the electromagnetic field theory of consciousness is that conscious perception, and also conscious sensations or qualia, inasmuch as they can be said to have independent existence, are identical with certain brain-generated spatiotemporal electromagnetic patterns.
So, at the first glance, this topic is rather pure high-end neuroscience rather than anything to do with UFOs. But as some of you may know, and as we will see even in this series of videos, human consciousness or consciousness at large is firmly tied to the phenomenon, non-human intelligence, and so on. The next short mention says,
At such times the attention of the participants seemingly locks onto the same wavelength, and individuals often report a subjective shift. I believe that this part is referring to some sort of a resonance technique, possibly something akin to neutral entrainment or binaural beats, or hemisync, techniques using sound or other electromagnetic stimuli to achieve a specific state in the brain. Such states are sometimes reported to have been tied to contact with non-human intelligences.
The topic of shifts in the brain and its functioning are then expounded upon as follows.
The MMI hypothesis proposes that such felt shifts are associated with physical changes in the local environment, i.e., that when the mind side of a postulated MMI relationship becomes unusually coherent or ordered, then the matter side also becomes more coherent or orderly. This idea predicts that if mental coherence fluctuates from high to low according to a prescribed plan, and that sequence of fluctuations is repeated, say n times, then random data streams continuously recorded during those n periods ought to positively correlate with each other because they should have been modulated by mind in approximately the same way. This prediction was tested in the present experiment.
This sounds like a description of a scientific experiment which was bound to study the ability to influence material reality using mind, something that has long been posited by physicists and students of the occult, and also something that classical science rarely actually studied in the past, perhaps bar some studies carried out by bodies like the CIA in their Project Stargate, which is a topic for a full-scale video of its own. The next part seems to be leaning into the classical view of consciousness as a characteristic of human beings, which results from us having a brain, which is in essence a bioelectromagnetic machinery. It claims that consciousness is effectively an emergent property of an adequately complex brain structure. The next mention, though, seems to semi-randomly veer off into the quantum world, not without reason, though. Some scientists claim that structures in our brain, called microtubules, are able to interact with reality on the tiny quantum level. And the related text says as follows.
The fact that the results found here derive only from a successful treatment of kinematical, operator product, divergences, gives them a certain robustness. To the extent that the results here stand as predictions of quantum general relativity, they are also predictions of quantum supergravity, or any of the large number of modifications of general relativity, such as those that involve dilatant fields or higher derivative terms.
Next, the hemisync technique using sounds to achieve certain states in the brain, popularized by Monroe Institute named after Bob Monroe, who experienced spontaneous out-of-body experiences in the 1950s and 60s, and attempted to study these experiences from a more scientific standpoint is mentioned. The text on Forgotten Languages describes it well.
The coherent stimulating technique used in this study involved the use of binaural beat audio tones known as hemisync. The term binaural beat refers to a method in which one tone at, say, 400 Hz is played in one ear while another tone at, say, 406 Hz is played in the other ear. These two pure tones are heard along with a subjective beat frequency, or warbling tone, generated by overlapping circuits in the brain's audio cortex.
Finally, we have a mention tied back to research carried out, for example, by Dr. Hal Puthoff, a veteran physicist intricately tied to studies on the UFO phenomenon and adjacent topics. In one of the studies involving remote viewers, the researchers tried to see if random number generators can be influenced with mind alone. And the article says this.
Future observation of previously recorded random bits can result in significant deviations from chance expectation, indicating that real-time observation is not necessary in mind-matter interaction effects.
On the 1st of September 2013, another bombshell of an article dropped, and the title itself says a lot. The Next Lethal Clash of Civilizations. Probabilistic extension of Huntington's model of conflicting civilizations to the case of extraterrestrial civilizations. This time we start with a mention of galactic cooperation. This could possibly be a reference to the so-called Galactic Federation of Species hinted by Paul Hellyer, the late Canadian Minister of Defense, and by Chaim Ashad, the chief of the Israeli Space Force. Both men claimed that we are being watched and assessed for potential membership in said Galactic Federation, which could be granted once we are no longer found wanting. And here the text says, cultural affinity is prior to galactic cooperation. Now, is cultural affinity possible between us and them? I'm afraid that the answer is no. And next we have the following text.
For the most part, where international conflict is concerned, it is states that engage in disputes and fight or clash with each other. Civilizations do not have governments, armies, or foreign policies. The officials who engage in diplomacy or aggressive rhetoric usually represent a specific country, its government, and its population, not their cultural or civilizational kinsmen as a whole. Sadly enough, this is not true when we consider the scenario of an extraterrestrial galactic civilization.
This is fairly obvious an analysis of a possible contact with such a galactic federation or a civilization. For some reason, we also have a mention of religion here. This is a mention important insofar that religious views could have serious impact on our view of the others, and could influence possible contact with an alien civilization. The text says this.
The world's great civilizations have all been associated with great religions. People who share ethnicity and language, but differ in religion, may slaughter each other.
Could we try and attack the aliens just because they don't match our religious view of reality? With some people, perhaps this could be true. A related, although a more general section follows.
Differences in identities can lead to divergences and disagreements between neighbors and the development of an us versus them outlook. Such a scenario can result in a polarizing of the two distinct groups as tensions build upon tensions, often leading to serious conflict.
And finally, we have the current policy of the world's governments in approach to the topic of non-human intelligences. The text might refer to something else, sure, but accidentally or not, it's a great match with how the UFO phenomenon is treated. The best policy so far is the denial policy. And here we go, another part of the delve into the strange and mysterious world of the Forgotten Languages website and its relationship with UFOs, UAPs, and non-human intelligence is done. What do you think of what we talked about today, dear viewers? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you soon in another video. Take care!